I'm like, Facebook, everybody's a real estate agent now.
Yeah. So unfortunately, the barrier to entry to be an agent is pretty low. And it's sometimes marketed as kind of a part-time deal. The problem is this. Whenever you're going through the process, this is one of the largest financial decisions of your life. And you're putting out real money into it. There's a lot of stress that goes with moving from one place to another. And there's a huge legal component. So people getting sued is a real thing.
All right, welcome back to Surviving Startup. I'm your host, Jamon. I am the video guy.
Yes, and I am Terry, your other host. I am the detail guy. And welcome back to Surviving Startup.
So we got a special guest for y'all today.
We do.
If y'all listen, y'all might get a couple jewels and learn some things and be able to go and do some things with your money out there today.
Right.
So, with that being said, introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do?
I'm Kimble, residential realtor with Remax Grand Rapids. Primarily help buyers and sellers in the Grand Rapids area. I also work with residential investors as well.
Nice.
Got you. Okay, so that was a little humble. I just seen something on Instagram where you was like top 5. Didn't you get rewarded like real estate all-star?
Yep. Just received real estate all-star for the top 5 percentile for sales volume in the West Michigan area.
So the top 5% of sales volume, you fit into that percentile.
Yep, there's certain agents that have sold a certain amount, a certain volume, and I'm within the top 5 there.
So we know what he's talking about. I just want to make sure y'all know.
So yeah, that's nice. I like that.
I feel like he was about to say something.
I was about to say something ghetto, but I ain't gonna go there. I was about to say, oh, so you getting money, huh? That's what that sound like. You getting money. I like that. That's what I was about to say. But no, I like that. All
right, so top 5. For all our guests who don't know, we are a business podcast here for community, for those trying to get further, and also for those that want some knowledge and some different things.
Trying to just help as we go, the realest as we can.
Let's go.
All
right, I'm gonna let you kick it off, bro.
Let's go.
You just had a bunch of questions you was asking.
I do. I actually do. But before we hop into that, let me slide back. So last week there was a question at the beginning of our podcast of, what was the question, bro? You remember?
I just asked what was going on.
What was going on? And I said I felt discouraged. And I think I chucked it up to the weather and how we are in Michigan and how the weather is. I'm pretty sure I chucked it up to something simple like real life, not even real life. Real life though, because we are real life, this is real. The reason I felt discouraged in my business is because I have my one business, a detailing business, but I'm also trying to open up a loader spot, which we talked about. And I have to sign a lease within, by the 26th, short 10 grand. And realistically, I don't even know how I'm about to get 10 grand by the 26th. But I know it's going to happen. But that's really, really what was discouraging me the other day. And the weather. We are in Michigan, though, so that's a thing. But the B100, it ain't had nothing to do with the weather because this is a startup and this is what people go through. And that was what was discouraging me because I got to come up with 10 grand within, I don't even know, 15 days. But I know I'm going to make it happen because I'm going to make it happen. But that's really what was discouraging me the other day. It ain't had nothing to do with the weather. And this is real podcast and this is real people. This is what we do.
It's real talk.
You know what I mean? So life is going to happen and discouragements is going to happen. And this is what we're here for, to help people out. Keep it moving, because that's what we got to do. Keep it moving.
So we got to move forward.
We got to keep it moving.
Oh, I think it's dope you share that, bro.
You know what I mean? Because that's what it was. I chucked it up to the weather.
Yeah, so that's definitely something we're gonna have to like jump into.
Come back to. But back to the real estate.
Funny, but that ain't what we talking about right now. But that could be what we talking about. Because in real estate investment could be a way you can help fund
a lot. That's my
things.
plan in life.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what's your question?
So,
I'm gonna let you jump.
real estate. It's a lot. I got a lot, but I'm gonna try to keep it simple because it's simple. Why real estate for you?
So for me,
First off, are you a real estate agent? Do you own your real estate agency? Are you what are you?
Yep. So I'm a real estate sales associate.
Okay.
What that means is I operate under a broker at Remax of Grand Rapids, but I have the capability of building a team. And so right now I have 3 team members that kind of assist in the transactional coordination part. They assist in the marketing part, scheduling, and then this year we're going to be adding one more person to the team, and he's going to be a showing agent and help show properties along with myself.
Okay.
Yeah, so we kind of all work together as a team to provide the best service possible.
Nice.
You said you work mainly with investment people who are investing in properties.
Yep.
Like, what does that look like? What's the difference between that and just a regular
Residential
realtor?
So the transaction has a lot of similarities if you're purchasing a owner-occupied residence. But when it comes to what you're looking for as far as location or number of units, there's some differences there. So a lot of times when you're looking with an investor, the primary focus is, can I rent this property out?
Okay.
So I work with residential investors and a lot of times first-time investors. And so they have a lot of questions as far as what should I be looking for? What locations? What should we keep in mind when we're searching? Because when you're looking for your own home, you're looking at maybe school districts, you're looking at room sizes, you're looking at, do I like the finishes in the kitchen? When you're looking for an investor, you're looking for, are there professional jobs nearby? How many units? What are the size of the units? What are comparable rents in the area? What are the terms of the lease currently? So the questions change a little bit different, a little bit. And so I really help steer investors through the lens of those questions.
Gotcha.
Okay. So you actually help them out. Like, so if I don't know something, you actually help me out.
Yes.
Instead of just
and that's
taking somebody else's. Because I notice a lot of realtors work with buyers. And yeah, I know some people that's going to buy this. Just bring them buyers and don't really walk them through the process. And I had a realtor. She was dope. And she walked me through. She told me what to look for, what not to look for, what realtors to look out for, what things to not do. And I wonder, is everyone like that? Or is that what you do?
Yeah, that's definitely the way that we approach it. I would say when you're looking for a realtor, you really want a realtor that has a solid track record. You want to look at their reviews, and you want to try to assess the realtor. Is he more of a relational, he or she more of a relational realtor? The reason is, the realtors who are like, I'm going to sell you this home and I want to be the person that helps you sell this home down the line and find your next home, they're thinking more relationally, and so you're getting information that way.
I felt that.
You have some realtors where it's more of a kind of a turn and burn. I don't really have any interest in following up with this person. Yeah, they just try to sell you almost anything. And so that's really, sometimes it's hard to gauge, but we pride ourselves in being very relational. Having client appreciation events, following up with our clients, and really walking them through the process.
Nice.
And you said looking at their track records. So besides those reviews, what are you looking at to look at the track record of a possible realtor?
A lot of times the reviews are like the number one thing, because that's the honest opinion of people who've already gone through the process with them. A good rule of thumb is For myself, like we work primarily by referral. So we ask our past clients, hey, who do you know, family and friends, who also need to move and wants the same quality of service? And we normally get a solid handoff. Oh, my neighbor, who we're good friends with, you got to chat with Kyle. He'll walk you through the process. He'll really take care of you like he took care of us. And so that's really the thing to look for. The days of just kind of flipping through the pages trying to find a realtor or calling off a billboard, sometimes you get that agent, sometimes you get the team, and you get just kind of passed down. And so you don't know if it's the same quality.
See, my thing is everybody's an agent now. Mm-hmm. Everybody's cousin or brother or sister is an agent now.
Yep.
Like, oh, yeah, I'm an agent now, so I can get you a house. Or how's that? I mean, like, is it a year thing? I'm looking for how many years you've been in this thing? Am I looking for...
For sure. So it seems
I went to high school with a lot of real estate agents, randomly real estate agents. And I'm like, Facebook, everybody's a real estate agent now.
Yep. So unfortunately, the barrier to entry to be an agent is pretty low. And it's sometimes marketed as kind of a part-time deal. The problem is this. Whenever you're going through the process, this is one of the largest financial decisions of your life. And you're putting out real money into it. There's a lot of stress that goes with moving from one place to another. And there's a huge legal component. So people getting sued is a real thing. And so it's really interesting when I sit down and with a prospective client who's looking to sell, and they're saying, oh, my cousin or someone just got their license. I'm like, that's fantastic, and it on one level you want to support them, but on the other hand, this is a major deal where there's legal ramifications, there's real money, and this is a process that needs to be handled delicately with experience. And so the analogy that we use is if you had to go get surgery, and your cousin was just got their certification or whatever. Do you want to go to someone who just got it just because you're going to do them a favor, or do you want someone who's like, no, I've done this quite a few times, I have the years of experience. You want to go with the expert. So there really shouldn't be any difference with your money, especially if it's your family that's moving, and that's really the difference.
Nice. Oh, dope.
I love it. It kind of threw me off. They was trying to get some footage. So what would you say to those type of investors who's just getting in the game? Like, if that's the case, like, I agree with that totally, 100%. Like, if I am trying to buy an investment property or just a house for my family, I want somebody, if I'm going to get a real estate investor, I want the person with the most experience. I want the person who's really going to have the type of relationship where they're going to try to look for what I want and not just sell me a house.
Right.
But then you do have a lot of people that's beginning to be real estate agents. So now, as being someone who's went through that, how do you start to build that up for yourself? How do you start to build up that client? Like, how do you move as a beginner to get to that next level?
The next level. So,
as an agent, you're asking?
Yes, like as a beginner, as an agent.
As an agent. So as an agent, a lot of it is just like you guys were talking about the entrepreneurial journey. I mean, it's really working really hard to get that first client. And then make sure that you do the best you possibly can for that first client. I mean, going above and beyond, knowing like the school districts, asking them about sometimes like the intangibles. Do they have a dog? Like, can I refer you to someone who can put an electric fence? If they want to do any remodels, can I connect you with a contractor? You want to really overperform for that person, and then you use them and their referral to get your next one. And then sometimes it's slow building, but you're going to be able to consistently build on that.
Definitely.
It's going to be hard in the beginning to not even take clients, but compete with experience.
Yeah.
But when I was in the first starting out, the thing that I had was energy and enthusiasm. That's it.
Yeah.
I didn't have a bunch of experience, but I really cared about people. My background is in healthcare. Really cared about working with people, was really competitive. Growing up playing sports, played sports all the way throughout high school, did a competitive group in college. And so the energy and the focus, that's really what I had to offer, and that's what I sold them on. And then from there, I tried to do the very best I could with every client that I got, which sometimes they were family and friends. Yeah. And then I asked them after we were done, who else do you know that I can provide the same level of service? And more often than not, they're like, hey, you did a great job for us. We'd love to pass you along. And so just one by one, you expand and then promote. So that's a huge thing. Promote the fact that you sold, different aspects of the deal. They wanted to be in a certain area. We found them the perfect home, and then just kind of get your name out there.
So should they look for first-time buyers more so?
Yeah, I would say really.
Because, I'm sorry, the reason I ask is because I'm about to ask questions that investors is going to ask, and you just said that it's smarter to have someone who is educated longer term.
Yep.
So with the newer people, try to steer towards new homeowners?
A lot of times you want to go based on relationships.
Okay.
So especially in Grand Rapids, everything is done based on relationships. If you're gonna, get a haircut, if you're gonna go, do anything, detail your car, do anything like that, it's, hey, I like your haircut, or I like your car, or whatever. Who did you use? So when in the very beginning, you really just want to go from relationship to relationship. So I would say when new agents start, and this is what I did, you make a list of your top 100 relationships first. Not whether they're buying, selling, investing, anything. Just 100 people who are close family friends, people you went to school with, and you start with them.
That's business in general.
Yep. And then for sure. And then just expand from there.
Yeah.
I think a lot of what you said relates to business. So even if you're not a real estate, you can take
those are that. Jewels, yeah.
Like
everything, those are all jewels.
The episode on moving in excellence, and that speaks towards a lot of it. Like you have to overperform, especially with those first few clients you get. Like you have to overperform. Yeah. And it was funny when we was talking about how some people just leave their business and leave a sign on the door, and I saw that the other day. Like literally, like a couple of days ago, I walked past the store and like, oh, we'll be back in a minute. Sorry. Like, okay. So overperform. And then there's something else critical you said that you got to do too. It's like after you're done, you have to ask those people, do you know anybody who can use this service?
Future connections.
You ask people for that so it can be on their mind. Yes. You ask them, do they know anybody? Because even if they don't, they might run into somebody and then that question will pop in. Oh, they're looking for people. Yep. But if you don't do that, then if they come across somebody who needs that, you might not even come in their head because you didn't ask them to give you that referral. So I think it's important also to ask for those referrals.
Definitely. I like that.
Those is jewels.
So, agents. Is it hard for a new agent to get a job somewhere at a Remax or Keller Williams or wherever? I don't know.
Yep.
They're the only ones I know, actually.
Yeah, those are the two biggest ones. I would say that depends on the brokerage. Some brokerages have like certain standards that they want you to hit, a certain like code of conduct. They just don't, they want to make sure that their brand is synonymous with, excellent agents. That was part of picking the brokerage that I'm at. They really kind of hammer home, this is the way that you present yourself. These are the type of agents that we want representing our brand. And even for my team, I like to uphold those standards too. Yeah. A lot of times, your name recognition and your reputation is everything in this marketplace. So you really want to work hard to be consistent across the board.
Nice.
That connects with everything we've been talking about. Like we went into that on accountability. Like, you wouldn't even think when you're thinking about being accountable and holding yourself accountable, then thinking about doing the things that you put as goals and things like that. But then the thing that we got into when you got into the deepness of it is it's part of your name, because when you can be dependable from
That's why I
holding
just had to
yourself
retract.
accountable.
That's literally why I just had to retract what I said last weekend, because it was a lie. You know what I mean?
And then
I'm not holding myself accountable as we trying to hold other people accountable.
Dope. Like that. I like that. I love that transparency. But yeah, that's what it is. And when you can do that, especially when you can show up consistently, then that speaks to who you are, what your name is. So then when you can do that, people are more likely to call you than to call somebody else. When they know they can depend on you to do everything that you said you was going to do.
Right. Nice.
And break down nice. I love it. Man, so we got into the agent. So basically what you're saying is, if I wanted to get into investment real estate, instead of going courses and paying all this money to learn all of these different things, I can just come to an agent like you. No, this is from a personal standpoint, right? So I'm not an agent. I want to get into investment real estate. What does that learning curve look like if I choose to go that route of learning? Like, what does that look like?
That's what I was about to switch that. I was about to ask, like, what do I need? What do I have to bring? What is smart not to bring? If you're only a beginner, should you start with what? I don't know. Get into it, I guess, because I was literally about to ask that. Is the 10% something? Is the percentage difference down payments?
So what you guys are asking is the most.
I was literally about to just go there. I literally was, because my brain started moving. I'm like, literally.
Yeah. So what you guys are asking is one of the most common questions. And a lot of times people, like, they'll read some of the investment books or, see some stuff online, like, I want to get into real estate investing. Yeah. And they'll start, and they don't know exactly where to start. So what they'll do is they'll start going down the path of, I'm going to get my real estate license. In reality, unless you really want to sell the properties and work with the transactions and do the marketing, and you really want to be more of the salesperson, the license is not really the way to go. Exactly what you said. You want to link up with a professional who has experience in that area, where they may have done it themselves. And then really just bring your list of questions, and they can give you some of the answers up front. But the real learning, like with anything, is boots on the ground, repetition.
You gotta get your feet wet.
Because everything in theory is one thing. You look in the book and it says, find a duplex. Live in one side, rent out the other. That's great. But what they don't tell you is where you find that duplex, the condition of it, how close it is to new developments or prominent jobs, all plays a factor. They also don't tell you the financing, and they don't tell you how to use a certain loan for a certain thing as opposed to another. Yeah. They also don't tell you any sort of regulations in certain areas that can come back and get you. So there's a lot of different things. Now, when you're doing this, I would say the best thing you could possibly do is, find a qualified real estate agent that has experience in investment properties. Get your questions together. You can still read the books, be knowledgeable so that you have the questions to ask, and then sign on with that agent so they're invested from a monetary standpoint to put you on a search and start doing boots on the ground. Okay. Because the thing is, and people they kind of set back when they say like sign on with them.
No, I was about to ask, does that cost, or do I specifically have to stick with you?
Yeah. So the costs are negotiable, but more often than not, you'll sign on, so you are sticking with that agent. So you want to kind of do your due diligence ahead of time, make sure that you vibe with this agent.
That's what I was going to wonder. How do you shop around if that's...
Yep, and you do that before you sign anything. But any qualified agent who is really going to work hard for you is going to require a contract, because their time is very important. And when you've been in the business, you've had a lot of people that have used you for extended period of time, and then they decide to go with their cousin. After getting all the information and all the time boots on the ground. But I would say you definitely want to sign on with someone that you trust, that you vibe with, and then you want to start looking at properties, actually walking through and doing your due diligence in different areas. Because you're going to see, okay, this is the condition, this is what it rents out for, this is the proximity to a medical mile or downtown GVSU or Bridge Street that's booming. You know,
now, is that something I would do with my agent who I signed on with? Or is that something I do on my own?
So a combination.
Okay.
So I would say when you want to get familiarize yourself with specific areas, and that really comes from driving streets and then making connections on your own. If I'm in Belknap Lookout, I'm pretty close to the medical mile. Who could possibly be a renter there? Maybe a graduate student, maybe a young professional, maybe a traveling nurse. So when you're starting to make these kind of connections, now you can drive the streets and you can look, okay, like this street, I like the distance. I like the fact that there's a lot of parking. Some of the homes here have off-street parking that could be lucrative. Is this right next to where there was a brand new apartment complex that went up? Because I'm going to compete with them for everything.
So we're not worried about the look of the house, really. I mean, not yet, but
Yeah.
that's the business part of it. We're looking for, okay.
Yep. And
Okay.
then once...
And most people don't think that.
Right. And you're able to be a very informed investor because what happens is now you can say, I like this area and I like this area. I don't really like these other areas. So then you're able to go back to your agent and say, can we zero in our search on the Belknap Lookout area and over here right by Bridge Street? Because I like the walkability here. I like these areas. So if anything pops up over there, then what happens is when properties pop up, we're able to pull leases. We're able to see, are they doing month to month? We're not able to see exactly who's renting, but we're able to see the lease terms, how much they're making, how long they've been there, how many times they've increased the rent. And then after that,
That comes from being an agent, though.
That comes from being an agent because your agent is the only one that can really get on the phone with them and talk with them and get leases and different things like that. After that, we're able to walk through properties. Now what we're looking for is, how well do these tenants keep up this property? What are the tenants like in this area? All these different things that you can't necessarily, the intangibles we can do boots on the ground. What sort of deferred maintenance in the property that you're going to have to deal with right away to get it recertified? So all these different questions, but it starts way back with you having an idea of the area.
Of what you're
actually looking for. Yep.
Yeah. Do your homework, pretty much. I like that.
Yep.
That's a lot to take in, not really, because you're just doing your homework.
Yeah, definitely.
If you do your homework, then you figure out what you want, which most of the people, hopefully, not new coming into a new city anyway, so you pretty much should know your area. You should know your area. I mean, we're not just moving to California and go hop in the, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So we should know your area off rip.
Yeah, I think that's where it come in too good with having that real estate agent. You know what I mean? If you're saying like you're trying to get into investment real estate, you can pay thousands for courses. But that's something we were saying too before. Like, go to the source.
Go to the source.
Learn from the source. Now you know what to look for. Now you're learning how to look for these things. Yeah. You're learning everything that you need to do. So, it makes sense.
And the thing is, with all the money that you're putting into courses, which aren't a bad thing, but a lot of times you can get.
So I'm not saying don't do courses. Right. I'm not. No. I do courses, a lot of courses.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm not saying don't do courses.
But a lot of that money that you're putting in to the formal course, you could put into the book, and then just read the book. But also, people are really they're comfortable paying for a course, but they're not as comfortable paying maybe an hourly rate or quarterly rate to an expert who spends all of his time driving properties. Doesn't do anything else. This is like literally your surgeon that is gone through all this stuff and is still learning every day. And it's like, well, I don't really want to pay that person. It's like, but you'll pay a lot for a course to start from square one. So it's like figuring out.
Not even have personal access
to the agents and different things.
You just got a bunch of videos that you refer to.
Right. Now with that, you want to really do your due diligence on who you're working with. That's the difference, right? So all your research should go into what are their reviews like? What is it like working with them? Those different things.
Okay.
Yep.
And not only that, it brings you back to work with me when I get ready to sell this joint.
Yep.
Or Buy a new one.
So
keep it moving.
Oh yeah, yeah.
If you feel like you need a course, get the course.
Yeah.
Hey, do both. Find you a real estate agent who knows what he's doing and get the course.
Yeah. So as a first-time investment owner, is it the money that counts? Do I say, what I'm asking is, say I got a little money, do I stick around certain things? Say I got a lot of money, do I stick around certain things? Or do I just stick around certain things as a new person in general?
Like certain locations?
Certain
Properties.
ventures. Do I go buy 100 plus property, 100 unit property, or do I stick to a 2-unit property? No matter how much money I have as a new, this is my first time investment. Do I go get a 100 unit property?
So what I would say is you really want to assess barrier to entry. So we all want to get to the 100 unit property, and I have a different company where that's kind of what we specialize in.
Right.
But the barrier, we have a lot of partners with that because you're going to have to put a certain down payment.
Yeah.
And, an individual is limited to how much they can bring. So a lot of times you're doing legal agreements, you're filing with the SEC, you're doing all these different things so that you can get a group of people together.
So no matter how much money I have, one person can only do so much?
To a certain degree. Yes, to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have to, if you want to go for those large commercial units, you're going to have to get a commercial loan. And a lot of times those banks, they judge the cash flow of the property, but they also ask, do you have experience with this type of asset? And if it's your first one,
it's just
sometimes it's
a red flag.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they're betting on you and the property, right?
So pretty much start with little.
If you want to start with, if you want something with a lower barrier to entry, the house hack method. I mean, that's kind of what I've used. The house hack method.
Tell us about that house hack method.
Method. Yep. So the what I've used is the duplex where you're living in one unit and you're renting out the other
one.
Yeah. So you're allowed to move into this depending on credit, depending on how much money you have down. There's different loan options that might be a little bit more favorable. So you definitely want a quality lender to ask all of your questions. And that's one of the perks of having an agent, someone who can direct you to a lender who has experience with investors, who can run all your information and let you know you qualify for this. And so this could be a better avenue for you.
So what kind of, go ahead, finish up what you were saying.
Yep. So with like the house hacking, for me, so I live in one of the units and then rented out the upper. And that allows them to kind of pay your mortgage and you live there for a certain period of time. And then you can basically rinse and repeat. So you can move out, you rent out the lower, and so you have a property, hopefully it's cash flowing, and you move to your next one. Live in the lower, rent out the upper. Yep.
That's what I've been trying to get my mom
What kind of
to do,
qualifications where are you looking at? If I wanted to get into that, what kind of qualifications when I come to you to invest in one of those type of properties, like what kind of qualifications do I need?
So the major thing, and it's difficult to get into details because it's contingent on your financing, your credit, how much money you have down. So it's really more of like the financial aspect. Once you have that and you have a pre-approval, they'll probably pitch you a couple different options. One is a conventional, one is an FHA, but all of that is contingent on credit, where you're at, and it's different for everyone.
So you can have a FHA with the investment property
if you live in it.
So if it's a double unit type of deal.
Yeah, if you live in it, you can.
Okay.
If not,
then no.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And you always want to double check because sometimes those restrictions they vary depending on the year or new legislation and stuff like that.
Okay, and then like what kind of down payments we talking about?
Yeah, is a percentage change compared to
it does
from my personal home? Does the percentage change to an investment property?
Yep. So investment property normally it's around 20 to 25%.
Okay.
And that's your down payment. Now, if you're buying your personal residence that's not an investment property, they tend to have some more flexibility. Sometimes you can get as low down as like 3%, and then it varies from there. But a disclaimer with all of this, it's contingent. It's different for every single person.
Yeah.
Like it depends on your credit, depends on how much money you have down. It depends on if you pay points down, the whole nine. So, you really have to talk with your lender. One thing I will say about this is a lot of times people are scared to talk with a lender because they're scared to be told no. But if you get a quality lender, oftentimes they don't make money unless you purchase the home. So they're going to be your number one cheerleader in getting financing, even if you're not ready. But if you're not ready, they'll run your credit, they'll run your down payment and everything and your financing, and then they'll give you a map of, okay, if we work on this over the next 6 months of the year, you can get your pre-approval, then you're good to go. And you don't pay them for this.
No.
They get paid once you close.
Yeah.
So that's information that a lot of people, especially new home buyers, investors, the whole nine, they're like, oh, I don't think I'm ready. It's like, well, why don't we go and we find out for sure and then get a game plan to get you ready.
And what I've learned that when I went through my first home owning, if one person couldn't do it, she sent me to another person. And then she sent me to another person, and ultimately I got what I wanted.
Somebody
I got what I wanted,
Yeah. And the beautiful thing about that, though, is you got in the game, and so she was able to pass you to the point where you can get it done.
Yeah, she got it done.
A lot of people, the fear keeps them from even making a call to the first person.
And see, I tell people about that first person. I don't even remember who the person was closed with, because she was the one literally.
The first person was the
first person. She was like, we really can't do it, but I know this person.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
And I know this person, and she got it done. So I tell people about the first person.
So what does how much does a typical 2-unit go for? Around
where are we talking?
Let's median price.
So that's a very interesting question, because that's a common question. But the question, I think a better question would be is, what locations can rent well and have very strong leases? And the reason I say that is, it's better, like in my experience, it's better to purchase in a strong rental area and purchase an asset for more money than find a deal and struggle to rent it. So it's a liability even if you get a deal on the duplex. Liability.
Offer it.
So you're sitting there and you're trying to rent it out and you can't rent it, and the rents are way below market because it's a difficult rental area. You can't keep tenants because the property is a little rough. As opposed to, it's like, man, this one might be $100,000 more, but it's in a strong area and I can rent it out. Because what that's going to do is, if you're banking this based on, okay, I'm going to have to put more money down. And so people kind of shy away from that. But the thing is, you just want to make sure that you can get strong renters so they cover your monthly carrying costs. Because if they cover your monthly carrying costs, it's an asset and you're fine. You're not paying on it. So it's better to maybe tag a partner in, go 50-50 on a better, like more high-end unit that has great rental history, with strong rents where they're not turning over. You can get year leases. They can be maybe at the $1,500 a month per unit, that type of stuff. And so that's a common question. It's like, oh, I just want a deal on a duplex. It's like, you want a strong dollar-producing duplex.
So if we're talking about Grand Rapids,
go ahead.
A strong duplex in a strong location, what does that price look like?
It varies a little bit, but I would say you're looking $350 to $450.
So $350 to $450, 20 to 25% down.
Yep.
To use it as investment property, and then you can get FHA on that.
That's so the thing is potentially.
Potential.
Yeah, if you're going to live in it, there's some other criteria.
They have all different kind of loans.
Yep.
Just trying to give people a little idea of what that look like.
What do you consider a stronghold area, like for a duplex? Like something that's a duplex ain't just sitting by itself, or a duplex that got many duplexes around it, say for instance Kentwood or Heritage Hill.
So
would that be considered strong? Is that what you mean by stronghold?
Yep. So a lot of things you look for. Heritage Hill, so that's where my duplex is. Proximity to an affluent area. And so with Heritage Hill, you have the city right there, a lot of young professionals, Medical Mile, which is huge. You have Grand Valley going up over there. You have Michigan State there. So, and there's businesses going up. There's a lot of activity, great walkability. You can walk to Martha's, a lot of other places there too. So Heritage Hill is one of my favorite spots for investors. Some of my most prominent investors, they're like, if anything pops up in Heritage Hill, that's where I want to be. But right now,
so much.
Costs a lot.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
4 years ago, I would have said yes. Heritage Hill is the spot to be. It costs so much.
It does. So a lot of it is looking at the cost. But when you're looking as an investor, I can use it.
Cut this way, bro.
And make
towards you. Put the gender. Free advertising.
I can use kind of an example of stock, right?
Okay.
When you're an investor and you're looking for stock, you're looking for strong stock.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You're not necessarily looking for the cheapest stock.
No.
The cheapest stock, you can go buy anything, right? And you're not going to get much of a return. You don't know if the company's going to be around, stuff like that, right? Yeah. So it's the same thing with real estate. The thing is, we have to shift the way we think about our personal residence. And and we've talked about this a little bit, when you're investing, you're looking for, the strong stock. And then you go back and figure out, how do you get the down payment? Maybe if I want to invest in Heritage Hill and it's a strong property, it's already rented out, the price per the rents every month, I can get a little cash flow. I know that the appreciation is really strong in this area. Now my question is not, oh man, it's too much. My question is, okay, who can I tag in to go 50-50 on a down payment?
Partnership.
That's really what you're looking for. Because a lot of my investors, what they'll do is they're like, oh, I really like this property, but they have some partners lined up that they trust, that they've worked with, that have the cash you're looking for. And then they just sell them on the numbers and the area. And they're like, hey, I really like this property in Heritage Hill. The down payment's kind of steep, but it's a great asset to own. They're looking at the asset. They're looking at the good stock. And when you look at it that way, and it takes some time to adjust, but if you look at it that way and then you backfill it through partners, that's the way to invest. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Man. I like all of that. I ain't gonna lie. Because I was about to go ask about Kentwood, but I really don't even care no more, personally.
So basically, what is this surrounded by? Because Heritage Hill is basically just a historical area.
It's just historical.
It's historical, so it would seem like it would be an area to pretty much appreciate over time.
A lot of it too is the proximity to the city. So if you want an area that maybe you don't have to deal with the regulations, because there's some regulations with Heritage Hill. Yeah. Changing the exterior, you got to go before the committee, stuff like that.
Certain woods.
Yep. So you can go over to the Belknap Lookout area. You can do kind of the northwest side in between Bridge Street and Leonard. That's a little bit more of an up-and-coming area. You can do right over there by downtown Grand Valley campus and just kind of sandwiched in between there. There's a lot of college rentals over there, but some young professionals over there. So there's a lot of different options. Nice. But the real driver of Grand Rapids right now is the city growth. So if you can have a certain proximity to the city and then let the city growth kind of drive your property up. You see this. So when you have major companies, if you look at it this way, like Spectrum Health, they're buying up everything. Buying along the river, putting up these new buildings, Grand Valley as well. I mean, these are multi-million-dollar properties. They have their own committees that do the research on where to invest. So if you kind of follow them a little bit, you're not going to have to put hundreds of thousands of dollars into like a think group that tells them where to invest. But they're not just throwing money anywhere. They're picking certain areas. So if you follow kind of where some of these companies are, I mean, you look at Bridge Street and that growth, and then you look at Rockford Construction, right there. Their proximity. I mean, they're thinking.
Are you just in the city? Is that just what you do?
No, but that's where I do a lot of investing because the appreciation is strong. Yeah. So that's where a lot of my investors like to be. Okay. The farther out you go, there's a lot more speculation there. And you're kind of banking on maybe a school, maybe a hospital, maybe something to kind of drive.
Because what you just said is you follow them, and I'm in the country, and I've been following them, and I've been seeing where things like, for instance, not Cornerstone, but what is this college out on East Beltline? Calvin, going towards Caledonia. Yeah. They just took down everything, and up towards M6, they got so many brand new apartment complexes just went up. I tried to buy 100 acres, I can't because they sold it to the people putting up apartment complexes. So is that what you mean by follow them?
Not in the sense of, you definitely don't want to follow the apartment complexes because you're going to compete against them. Okay. Like if they can offer because of volume. They're just throwing
things up. Or even if I go towards Muskegon, like, is that something you would do as an investor? Because personally, I've been thinking about it just because I'm from Grand Rapids. I live here my whole life. Live in Michigan, Grand Rapids, Muskegon, the country. And I see what Muskegon is doing, what Grand Rapids did 10 years ago. And I can see what's happening with Muskegon. Yep. Is that something you would do as an investor or wait and just...
I would say you definitely want someone who's boots on the ground in Muskegon. And to talk about like experience, and then if you can, and there's another thing, if they've worked with other investors, if you can like grab lunch or coffee with some of the other investors and talk about their experience in different areas and how well they've done. Okay. Because I do that a lot with my investors here, but it's difficult for me to speak on Muskegon because I just don't have boots on the ground there.
But you see have you been out there? Have you been out there?
Yep. They're doing a lot.
They're doing a lot, and it was just like things were cheap for a minute, and I was like, you don't know because you don't know. With real estate, for sure. You don't know. It's hard as a first investor, like,
to get into like certain areas. Yeah. I can tell you like there's opportunity there. It's just you want to, just like in Grand Rapids, you want to make sure that you're investing in like specific areas. Yeah. And that's someone with experience, with boots on the ground, and then talking with other investors. Like, I purchased a couple duplexes here on this street and in this neighborhood, and they've done well. Okay. I've got year leases. This is what I have
homework to prove. Pretty much.
That's the thing. Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
Sound good. Like,
I like that, man. I like everything about it. I don't
even know where to go from there.
I do. You say you have your own thing. Are you hiring? How do you hire?
Yes.
If someone was an agent, or I don't know how that works.
So for me, I'm open to certain positions, showing agents. And then kind of like real estate assistants, people who want to kind of get in the game, but not necessarily want to do all of their listings themselves and all of their buyers themselves. They want to be kind of a part of a team and be more of kind of an assistant role. I'm a little bit more open to that. I would say if people want to get their license and they want to kind of go start and with their own deal, potentially build their own company and stuff like that. My brokerage Remax, they have like a great program for that. And I can still be there and offer assistance, offer open house opportunities and stuff like that. But not necessarily the model of my team. At Remax, there's a bunch of teams that have quite a few agents, and they have a great model for them.
I like it.
Yeah. So it's just a different model from where you're taking it.
Yeah. Yep.
How you do it. Yep. Okay. So I mean, hey, he just gave you the game.
A lot. It's a lot to take. I want you to replay it and listen 2 more times.
Yeah, because I'm going to have to listen at least one more time just to catch some of that.
That was a lot, because that's what my goal is to have after I got about a year of saving of what I'm trying to do.
Yep. Yeah,
because I threw some curveballs in there.
About the same,
I threw some curveballs in there, so I got about a year or 2 before I could get my first investment property. Or I might just turn my home now into an investment property and go back to my mom's house. And that's really what I was thinking. I'm not going to lie, bro, because I was like, my wife's mom we can do this. I live with my mom forever. I was like,
all you need is a year.
I told my Kate, that's what I told my wife, like, we can go back to the house for a year, rent our home out, and just do that. She hasn't okayed it yet.
Like,
but really, that's where I was gonna start at. That's really where I was gonna start at.
Like, yeah, as long as those numbers make sense.
Yeah.
We personally,
and right now numbers.
We're looking
make
at a
sense.
year for our first property, and I would rather make that first property something like a duplex. That way, I'm not buying a property and feeling like, okay, I'm getting stuck under that property or having to do something. You know what I mean? We can go and stay in a little 3-bedroom real quick. You know what I mean? We did it. We grew up like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We grew up head to toe.
Yeah.
You know? We grew up head to toe. The kids.
Yeah.
They done had to share rooms a couple times. Like, everybody kind of got used to their own space and stuff. But hey, what y'all want? This right now, or where y'all want to be later with it?
Yeah, I thought about it. That's what my goal is. Income properties, investment properties. That's what everybody's goal should be.
It should be.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Might be a little biased, but I mean, it's a solid.
You shouldn't though, because
way,
that's what you should be teaching in school instead of
too many people
getting put out your mom's at 18 and going rent in somebody's house. It should be.
It's one of those things where, like, hey, we live in a capitalist society, so hey, you can't have too many people with the right information. You can't have too many people with the right information. But I'm glad that we got this platform and that we have people like Kyle that's out here. Kyle, is there any more questions you got, bro?
No, just give them their information. However,
you gonna tell them how Instagram, Facebook, everywhere they can find you at.
Yep. Instagram, Kimble Estates. Facebook is my name, Kyle Kimble.
I or with an I or Y?
Kyle.
Kyle, Kyle, and then Kimble, Kimble. And then I would say, shoot me an email, kylekimble@remexgrmi.com. And then have a website, Kyle Kimble at remexgr.com. Those are the main sources, and then they can reach me directly to call or text 616-706-6086 if they have any questions.
There we go.
Okay,
that's the first there. Nobody ever gave a number out, and that's business. I love that. I
heard the number. Get in contact.
I love that. Get in contact.
Get in contact.
Yeah.
If y'all, I don't know how much to capacity if you trying to invest though. If you for real about it, hey. Sounds like this is the man to go to.
Lose your money.
Hey, you might find this podcast a couple years from now because you looking at some stuff on his pages from his content. So hey, if that's you, put a comment in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And with that being said,
we are out.
Start today.
Not tomorrow.
And cut.